Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Guys, welcome to the Large Marge Tennis Podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Spooky.
Spooky, getting spooky.
So, we're in Spooky Month, and Halloween's just around the corner, guys. Hope you've gotten your costumes, getting everything ready to go. It's on a Monday this year. I don't know how we feel about that. As someone who will be trick-or-treating this year with my 1-year-old, I'm going to do the, we're going to go trick-or-treating, but we get to eat all the candy. Pretty cool. I mean, I'll throw her like a peanut butter cup.
Why are you mad it's on a Monday? You're going to be going on at 4 p.m. and then done by 5.
That's the other thing. So I looked at my town's Halloween schedule. Starts at 4 to 7:30. Wow. You forget that it needs to be light out. I don't remember it being light out when we used to go.
No, it never was, and there was never a schedule.
Yeah,
it was just all night or whatever. As long as you could
these days.
until the lights went off. Hello.
Right, exactly. So So we'll be on the early side. Obviously, we have a baby, but we did. We gave out candy last year, and it was still COVID-y times really last year, and our town was pretty lame, so we didn't really get that many trick-or-treaters, but it was still really fun. I don't know, I had a really good time, so I'm pumped. We're doing The Simpsons for our Halloween costume. So Homer, Marge, and Maggie Simpson is our costume. And Sweetie, you're not dressing up this year, are you?
Didn't have any plans. Didn't really think about it, so guess not.
Are you gonna be Bart in our Simpson family?
Yes. Just carry on a skateboard. Be fun.
Yeah, that'd be funny. So yeah, Halloween around the corner. So second spooky movie, my choice, and I went with the Disney original movies. They weren't called that then, but it was the Magical World of Disney. They would come out with these Disney-made movies, and usually they'd air them on Sunday nights. This particular one is from the 70s, but for some reason saw it a ton when I was little and was completely enchanted with it. Wow. No idea why, looking back, because it's seems kind of lame with all the technology and hindsight we have now, or cool CGI stuff we have now. But at the time, I was obsessed with it. So here we go. This is Escape to Witch Mountain.
Which could be you could do a pun and be Escape to Witch Mountain, WHICH, Witch Mountain.
Witch Mountain?
Which I don't know.
Yeah. So which mountain is it? No, it's called WITCH, Witch. Now, similar to Watcher in the Woods, when you're cool, spooky movie, what's with these kids? Telekinesis, psychic powers, they call them spooky powers. And I just want to say that really fits into the whole theme we have going on.
Yeah.
You're going to be cool, and at one point, we'll talk about it, but they think they're witches. No, just like Watcher in the Woods, turns out, spoiler alert, guys, aliens.
That was the plot.
Aliens.
Oh yeah, I guess that was the plot twist of Watcher in the Woods. So strange. I really had quite a weird experience. Yeah, where I kept being wow, I completely misunderstood, because I definitely thought going into this I was aliens, but then I was wait, why are you doing this for Spooky Month? Are there witches? Is that why it's called Witch Mountain? And then I started watching it, and I was oh, they are witches who were on a boat. I don't know, and then I got confused, and I was why did I think this was about aliens? I'm so stupid. And then later, and then you find out they're alien. I was okay, phew. Yeah. So I did think
circle.
that. But there's nothing alien about them, which is annoying.
There isn't.
They may as well just be from Sweden, and they're still living in a colony.
Are you sure it's not Sweden?
Right, and they're still living in that colony, wherever on the mountains. So doesn't that mean they're still on Earth? So like, why
Okay,
can't
they
they like?
did go back to the mountain. Okay.
Well, why can't they
let's
hang
talk about
out
this
and,
at
like,
the end.
have Jason being part of their family? Like, it's just so strange.
I know. It crushed me at the end. Okay, we're getting too
I know,
far ahead
I
of
know.
ourselves.
Too in
Let's
the
start at the
weeds.
beginning. Okay,
Just have a
so
lot to
Escape
say.
from Witch Mountain from 1975. This is a very 70s movie, I will say. The clothing, the whole vibe, very 70s Disney. I guess like after Disney died, like the management was like, we got to do something like cool and like cutting edge right now. So they rolled out this movie, 1975. So who does it star? Its star is, well, the first guy in it. Okay, first of all, this movie was also known because like all of the stars except the kids are old men. What's up with that?
So there's one old lady,
One old lady. There's like no young people. Maybe the Hicks in like one of the towns are kind of young, and the kids in the orphanage. But like other than that, it's like little kids with old guys, and you're like, what is the deal with this movie? Why aren't there any women? Like very, very strange.
Great question.
But here's what we have. So probably the most famous person, two famous people, I guess. Donald Pleasance. Andre's Sweetie Hare's favorite from
He's not my favorite.
well,
He's
I just saw
like,
him
a
and I was
horror
like,
movie person.
Sweetie loves him.
I don't know. I think I'm more into Donald Sutherland is like my favorite. Donald Pleasance is like fine, but a little stuffier, I guess. But yeah, he's in Halloween, the Doctor, and that. A lot of other horror movies as well.
Loomis,
but it's like,
Dr. Loomis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
he's a really intense fella, I'd say, and creepy and spooky in his own right. Doesn't need much to make him that way, so maybe that's what made this film feel spooky. You have Ray Milland. Is that an R or an N? I don't know. As Aristotle Bolt,
God.
the
Loser.
older gentleman, rich gentleman who, you know, you could if you're initially watching this, you're like pedophile because he like takes the kids,
Bring me the children.
takes the kids and locks them in what is essentially a pedophile lair
Room with
their
cameras.
bedrooms. Yeah. So we'll get into that, but that guy was like annoying as hell.
Creepsy.
Then you have Eddie Albert as Jason. Cool name.
Just didn't fit. I was like, do we really have to call you Jason? I don't want to.
No, I want to call you Mr. O'Day.
Mr. O'Day.
Or whatever.
Let's go back to that.
So much better. So he's like the old man friend, really sweet. He like befriends the kids. And the two kids you have are Kim Richards and Ike Eisenman. Wow, cool name. Ike Eisenman as Tia and Tony
Malone.
Malone is their first name. Then they are the
Castaways. Probably translated from the alien language Gaga. Like what?
Yeah. And then in a segment we haven't done in a while, but who's that lady? Did you recognize the cook from Mary Poppins?
Yeah, I had to look it up because I was like, oh my God. I really thought she was like some evil old woman in some horror movie, but I was like, oh no, it's just the Mary Poppins one. Yeah, love that bitch.
Yeah, I love that bitch. So Retta Shaw is her name. I guess it was her last movie. She's the lady who owns the orphanage who just hands over children to people who are like, they're my niece and nephew. I swear it.
Strange. So many strange things. It was the
So many
70s.
strange
Different
things.
time.
It was the 70s. We'll let it go. Based off a book by Alexander Key. Assuming it's a children's book or a YA book. Didn't look it up, but pretty cool. And I don't remember who the director was. I don't think I wrote that down. Anyone else of note who was an actor?
I don't think so. A lot of guys like looked familiar. Like maybe the guy who plays Sam Braun in CSI was like the horse trainer. Maybe I don't know.
Oh,
I'm binge watching CSI for no reason right now. So
that's
why I know that. But yeah, no one else really.
Yeah. So like I said, like I definitely saw this like on the Disney Channel, and for some reason was just very captivated by the story. I think I always loved movies about kids doing cool stuff. So, and in the 70s, there seemed to be, you know, this string of movies about kids having like telekinesis or telepathy. A lot of times it was in the horror genre. So you're talking about like Carrie, The Shining, this movie. You know, that always was kind of fascinating to me, and like that they had these cool powers and could like do things. And we'll talk more about those powers later. But and there was like a cool mystery aspect to this as you're trying to figure out like who are these kids, like why you're just getting all these little flashbacks and you're trying to figure out at the same time that they are. Oops. Sorry. You still hear me?
Yep.
I dropped my headphone. Usually, like
God.
it stops. The sound stops after you drop one out of your ear, but that didn't happen.
Cool story.
Yeah. Cool story. Cool story for where I was going with that. Anyway, Witch Mountain, guys. Which mountain is it?
Witch Mountain. It's Witch Mountain. Shady Peak or something or whatever. I don't know.
Shady Creek.
There's like different names. It was like Stony Brook or something, and then like Misty. It was like Misty Mountains. It wasn't like Witch Mountain. So I was confused. That's what the map said. The star map.
Well, maybe they only called it Witch Mountain after once like all the people landed there, and it was like they were doing like witchy shit. See, it is spooky.
Yeah, but they're aliens. It doesn't make sense. I don't know about you, but I really want the superpower that's the telekinesis, but only when I'm playing the harmonica. Okay. Really helpful, really useful.
Never explain that. Why did he need a harmonica to do
It was like
telekinesis?
a comfort thing. He could only do it with that. It was strange. I have a lot of questions.
We'll go into it. Okay. All right. It's time for the sweetie synopsis.
Yeah, sweeties.
You're nothing but a conniving pair of undersized lion pirates.
Tony and Tia Malone recently have been orphaned. Their last foster parent has died, and so they've been sent.
They both did.
Yeah, but I think one had died earlier, and then one died.
They
more
were
recently.
an elderly fisherman couple
who fished them out of the sea. So they get dropped off to this orphanage, which at first I was like, okay, is this going to be like a bad situation? Because this like real asshole truck comes up and is like, hey, yeah, this lady sucks. Like she'll make you write an essay on like 500 words, watch the news. Kind of like bedknobs and broomsticks where you're like, ugh, I hate this. She makes us wash our hands. Like, right. It's like, these are all fine things. Like, do you want to go down to NYC and say hi to my pal Annie, like Annie the orphan? Like, terrible place down there. You got a good thing here. You got a good gig.
This looked like a fun orphanage. It looked like a summer camp,
very nice,
essentially.
Beautifully decorated, like fun and bright. Like no orphanage I've ever seen. So, truck. Cool name.
Yeah. What was up with that guy's name?
I don't know, but he was a real asshole. So, immediately Tony and Tia kind of like start doing some weird things. So you find out that they have some powers. Mostly Tia seems to be pulling the group. Like she seems to have most of the power. She seems to have them under control. Whereas Tony can just like make things levitate if he's playing his harmonica or angry, or his other power is like hearing things far away. And then but they both like share these powers, but then Tia can do like a little bit more. It's like Tia can do everything that Tony can do, but Tony can't do everything that Tia can do. So I don't know. Girls are just better, at like handling things.
That's what I thought too. It's just like she's better. Though I guess in the book she's mute, like she can't speak. Sense. And in her little star case, she carries around a pen and a pad of paper and pencil because she like writes stuff because she can't speak.
Oh, I figured she just like speaks through Tony by like in her mind or whatever. But yeah, so they kind of butt heads with this truck kid, and he starts being like, you guys are spooky. Like I don't hang with you. You're witches or whatever.
Yeah, like what is some of the stuff they do? Like they're playing softball, and he like is able to levitate and get like a ball that should have been a home run.
And he like beats up truck with like a baseball glove and a baseball bat, like levitating also. Yeah. That's really kind of it for like these beginning show.
Draws a picture with a crayon on a mirror of like a place that they're gonna go to. So that's one of his powers. He can like see into the future a little. Yeah.
So interesting stuff. So field trip day. Everybody's going to the cinema. So they pile in the bus. Not before there's a tussle with Tia's Starbucks, which is like box with 2 stars on it that she's been carrying around since they were adopted originally, and her new cat friend Winky like knocks the box out of Truck's hand and it falls and it kind of breaks. And so she finds, like, after looking at this, that, like, there's this, like, map kind of exposed on the box, which is new, that they've never seen that before. So they're like, whoa, maybe this is where we're from. Like, maybe this is where we need to go. Pretty vague, but, like, whatever. So they go on the bus to get to the movies, and then Tia has, like, a vision or, like, a flash when she looks across the street and sees this, like, fancy car and this guy getting into his car. So she goes over there and she's like, excuse me, sir, like, don't go in that car. Like, you shouldn't go in that car. And Tony's like, yeah, she gets these feelings, and, like, she's right about them. Like, you shouldn't get in that car, mister. And he's like, okay. And he decides, you know what? I'm going to walk today. So he decides not to walk. And then all of a sudden, huge truck sideswipes or, like, crashes directly into the car where he would have been sitting, would have killed him. So he's like, whoa, what wizardry is this? So he tracks them down. Obviously, it says, like, what their orphanage is on the bus, Pine Woods. Tracks them down. Who does he meet? Of course, Truck. And again, this is the 70s. So when a stranger comes up and is like, hey, do you know these kids' names? Truck's like, sure I do. I can tell you everything I know about them. This one's name is blah, blah, blah. This one's this one. She's pretty weird. She does weird things. Like, way to go, Truck. Way to go. So this guy turns out his name is Dureni.
Darian.
Darian? It's
Derianian.
It sounds like, I don't know. It seems like a flower from the medieval times. Like, I don't know what
it sounds like diarrhea. Is that his
is.
first name or last name?
No. What is his situation? We don't know anything about
what is
him.
His sit?
He seems okay. Weird. Like, I don't know. So, turns out he's working for this guy, Mr. Bolt, and we don't really know, like, anything about this guy. Like, what is his deal? All we know is that, like, he's interested in these, like, psychic kids or whatever, and he wants to to bring them to him or whatever. He's like, you're going to pretend you're their Uncle Lucas and forge documents and go and adopt them and bring them back.
I think he's some, like, oil magnate or something, and he's looking for people to tell him where the oil is.
Yeah, he's just looking
for
ways to
exploit
their powers for his own benefit, kind of thing. So Dranian goes, calls himself Uncle Lucas, and is like, it's incredible. She looks just like my sister who passed away, and I saw her randomly yesterday, and then I was like, oh my god, I think that's my niece. Oh, and I have a nephew too. And I'm their Uncle Lucas. And the orphanage lady is like, yes, great, sounds good. It's very, I don't know. I was like, is she under a spell? Like, does he know some light witchcraft? But again, it's 1975. Things happened. We regret it. So they go with him, but they feel a little uneasy about it. But they decide, like, well, like, he has these papers, so, like, there's nothing we can really do. We have to go with him. So they go, and at first it seems really great, except that this is the place that Tony's been, like, seeing in his mind, this, like, weird, like, kind of manner, and then they hear those barking dogs. So they find out, oh, we're at that place now. Uh-oh, like, this can't be good. But it seems pretty great. They arrive to this place. He tells them about Mr. Bolt and how he's, like, hosting them there. They go to their quarters, which is this, like, amazing kids suite, just like Mary Poppins, actually, where they have, like, this entire...
It's a pedophile lair, as I said.
Okay, we'll get to that. But I'm talking about, like, first things first. Things seem great. And it's, like, these bright things and lots of toys, all this thing. They've made a play area for Winky to, like, with all these cat trees. So cool.
I knew that would turn you to... You'd be really into that. the cat condo.
But then we find out that Mr.
But there's also... Wait, you're going to tell what else is in there? An ice cream parlor?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, an ice cream parlor. I mean, we don't know, like,
a
how
creepy
far
puppet
that
show?
went. Which is, like, nonstop ice cream. Right, a puppet show.
Know.
I told you, there's lots of fun things in there. It's a paradise. Okay. So they're like, wow, this is great. But then after that, like, Tia still is like, I still feel weird about it. Like, something's just not right. And she's right. Bitch is right, because it's not. So she's like, I have feelings of, like, Mr. Bolt's really mean and he won't let us leave, blah, blah, blah. We have to get out of here. We need to leave. So Tony's kind of, like, pissed about it, but he's like, okay, you're right. Like, we got to leave. So they go down to dinner anyways, and Mr. Bolt basically so my new thing is to read the synopsis after I watch a movie because, I'm old now. I don't always pay attention. And so I might miss things. So I'm like, I'll just read the synopsis and then that'll fix it. So this one says that at this point, Mr. Bolt tries to blackmail the children into to being like, I'm going to tell everybody about your power. But who cares?
Who cares? They don't care.
What would he possibly accomplish? They don't have any family. They don't have any friends.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who they are.
Hidden cameras to watch the kids. So at one, they're trying to entertain themselves. So there's this one scene where Tony, playing his nimble little harmonica there, makes all the creepy marionettes dance. Yeah. Makes all these really creepy marionettes with these weird little pointy shoes dance. That put me over the edge. I was like, shut these puppets down. I can't.
It's the hands for me. It's just it's never going to work out.
And their movements were just
puppets.
No
ever. The only one that was not scary to me was the bee puppet. I was fine with that one, cute. But the people ones with the puppet hands, no good.
Yeah. So they have this all on camera. So like Sweetie said, the whole point is that they're going to blackmail them, I guess. I don't know.
No, I think he was doing it to study them at first is why he had that.
Oh, okay.
But then he was impatient and decided just to come out with the kids is I know this, let me study you. And then Uncle Lucas, Duranian, has said you shouldn't rush it, don't do that, so whatever. So he just decides to be I'm gonna blackmail you. So then this weird part happens where Tia's I think you're very tired and you should go to bed.
Because they are smart. They know they're gonna listen to them because they think they know the future. Okay. Remember, because she goes, you don't want to make yourself sick. I think you're getting sick.
They don't. Yeah, I guess. It just seems so strange. And I was like, does she have Jedi mind trick powers? Is this another power?
Kind of. That's
just,
kind of what
really,
it was.
did whatever she said. It was so strange. But so then they go back to the room. They're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. So Mr. Bolt or whatever is yeah, I'm going to put them on an island and strand them out there so they can't go anywhere. And that's the only solution. Meanwhile, the kids are let's get the fuck out of here. So they take Winky and go. Their advantage at this point is that the bad guys don't really know the extent of their powers. They know this future thing, but they don't really know anything else. For instance, they don't know that Tia can communicate with animals.
Right.
So earlier she'd broken in this really crazy horse who is violent, and she talks to him and is what's up? Kind of
Thunderbolt.
Reminded me of All Dogs Go to Heaven. Reminded me of that sitch.
Yep.
Pretty much just talking to them, which is all you need to do. So good for her.
Right. Nothing special, but she's really good at it. So
yeah,
she does it with the guard dog. Yep. She does it with Thunderhead, and they ride away into the night on this horse.
Yep. Do, and they have Winky with them. Thank God. So then they end up, on the lamb, as you might say. And the Mr. Bolt and Duranian, I'm just gonna call him Uncle Lucas from now on because it's just I feel stupid every time. I hate it. Whose decision was that name?
Durarian.
No, it's that's terrarium. It's Duranian. I think it's
Duranian.
That's worse. I don't know.
Okay.
Uncle Lucas and Mr. Bolt are on their tail. The kids find shelter in some stranger's RV. And he doesn't know it, but they've stowed away in his RV, and he drives off, and the police line stops him. He's like, "Hey, you seen two kids?" You're like, "No, I haven't. I would be going the other direction. I hate children." Bah! And then he leaves. So then he finds Winky comes out, and he's like, "Oh, a cat. I like cats." But then sees the kids. At first is very upset and disgruntled, but then realizes he can't send them off hungry. He's not that kind of person. All right, I'll feed you, blah, blah, blah. So they come to know each other, and they turn into cute little buds, and they really win him over. Tia's you were married before and she died and it was sad, and he was like, yeah. And then he's like, I'm so sad about that. What? I'm not. No, I'm not. Call me Jason. Jason, call me Jason. And then he storms away. It was just very strange writing in this movie.
Right.
But anyway, so now we call him Jason. And also, why is everyone Irish? Are we near where are we?
know.
I thought
I
we were in
think it takes place in
California, but everyone's like
California.
Malone, O'Day, and like I swear that guy had an Irish accent. Like
Just like a Disney thing.
yes.
So during this whole time, Tia is getting these little visions of what happened when they were picked up by their initial family. So basically, it's like her and Tony on a boat with this old man, like pushing them into like a lifeboat. She keeps seeing like lights up ahead, overhead, and she thinks it's a boat that was coming to rescue them. She's just getting like little bits and pieces. And whenever she thinks about it, her like eyes glaze over and she's like kind of lost. And Tony's like, Tia, like, what are you thinking? Like, what? Are you seeing something? Yes, him every time. Are you seeing something, Tia? Yeah. So these
Poor
little
Tony.
pieces start coming back to her. I know. Again, he's like no power. He's like useless. I mean, if he didn't
sucks.
have the harmonica, he'd be absolutely useless. Like he would have zero power.
He can
if he
tell
had the
people
harmonica.
about themselves. Big deal.
Yeah, big deal. Who cares?
People know about themselves.
You're a therapist. Who cares?
You blackmail them. God.
Yeah. So she's getting little bits and pieces. So they start telling Jason all about this, and they kind of start piecing together. Like, okay, like we were rescued and from this like from the ocean, and maybe we came on a boat. And so the guy's like, oh, you were illegal immigrants. No, but he was like starts
that's what they
putting it
think at
together.
first. They're like, we couldn't speak
Right.
English. We couldn't really talk.
Right,
we couldn't
speak
understand
English.
anyone.
Oh, you're
so-
from a different country. And then they show him the star case, and it's this little box, that has a little map in it, and they think they're supposed to go to where the map is. So they end up figuring out that the place on the map is like a real place, and it's nearby. So he's going to take them there. They realize that the little star case is 2 stars, and it must be like a flag of where they're from. So they're thinking like country, but then Jason's like, there's no country like that I've ever heard of with that flag, whatever. And then they're like, well, it's not a country, but it's a place. So then they kind of put 2 and 2 together. And Jason's like, bitches, you guys are aliens.
Yeah. Whoa. So yeah, the flag is like their planet, which had 2 suns, and then Tia finally remembers like their planet was dying, so they needed to escape to find somewhere else. But then the ship they were on crashed in the ocean, and then Uncle Bene, or again, like I don't know like what these names and like language of aliens, like what alien is like
don't know.
Uncle Bene? Like, I was like,
French
are you
to me.
my French uncle? Like, what is this? My French alien uncle? So they think he like drowned. So yeah, they're like, yeah, he must have like sacrificed himself to save us, and then like the Malones found us and rescued us. So they're like, cool. So yeah, we got to go to this place. And so then Jason's like, oh yeah, I've heard about that place. My brother has like a house near there, and said that like a group of people came there and settled or something, and they're weird, but they keep to themselves or something like that. So like, that must be where our family is, like our people are. Let's go. So now the race is on to get to Witch Mountain. Along the way, they meet some like, I don't know, pretty racist, probably like witch hunter policemen who are like so weird. Like they seem like normal guys for like a minute, and then as soon as they found out these kids had like weird powers, they were like, "I'm sorry, sir. She has the devil in her eyes. She's got the red in her eyes. The devil's coming for you." It was
Suddenly
like,
this
whoa.
movie turned into Deliverance like real quick.
Why did they get all hicky? Like it was
know.
so weird.
They're witches
Grab
and we're
their-
gonna kill them.
Yeah, they're pitchforks. Like, whoa, that's some fucked up shit. But they get away from there. The kids go on foot. I don't know. There's like a, pretty much it was just all like chase sequence from here on out. Various obstacles they have to overcome.
But
finally,
the thing with these kids is like every time they are getting chased, like they have this telekinesis, so they can make anything basically stop people in
pretty
their
much
tracks.
unstoppable.
So yeah, they're unstoppable, even though their powers are really so innocent and they don't do anything really violent or anything like that. It's just like the ability to move stuff with your mind is like a very powerful,
very helpful.
thing.
And the animals thing, always helpful
Yeah,
to
and the
have
animals
an
thing,
animal partner, helping
Animal
you out.
buddies, man.
That bear,
Get a bear.
The bear
get a
really
bear
came
friend.
through. He really came
I
through
know.
for us.
Oh my god, he really did.
So we think
in
it-
more ways than one.
Yeah. And so, let's see. Finally, so they separated at one point, got back together. So now Jason and the kids are off. They make it to the whatever the town is that's like below the mountain, which I thought was called Stony Brook, Shady Brook or something. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, Tony's like, okay, I think, I think I have powers now. I just got a thing that's like, I should look in this phone book. And like earlier he had told the policeman that his last name was Castaway for some reason. He's like, I don't really know why I said that, but like it felt right. So he decides to look in the phone book under like the name Castaway, and then they like call that number. And wouldn't you know it, it's Uncle Benet. And he's like, hey, we've been looking for you guys for years.
Glad you finally called.
At first, I thought this movie was like kind of similar to Annie, because like, oh, like Daddy Warbucks and like go to this place, it's so nice. But I was like, no, this is E.T., where it's like this alien gets lost, and then they're like, I have no family, and then the family's like, where you been? We've been looking for you. We've been looking everywhere, and it's like they have all this technology. They can't find me on this planet. They know I'm here somewhere.
You had to find your way back.
Look a little harder, bitch. Like I don't know. I felt really bad for them.
It's disappointing.
But everybody's fine, you know, everyone's rescued. They've been looking for them. He tells them to go to the mountain, like we'll meet you there, whatever. And then he's able to communicate to them also through his mind, through telepathy. I was like telepathy.
Telepathy?
It's telepathy. And so meanwhile, Mr. Bolt's like in the helicopter chasing after them, and then they get to this, I don't know, there's like a ravine, and then Uncle Benet like helps the RV magically fly like to get them to the mountain.
Well, it wasn't a ravine, it was a car in the way. Uncle Lucas took like a secret path, and they ended up blocking their car, and then it goes just zoom with terrible CGI or whatever that was, zooming over the.
Right.
It was like
they didn't make it
in Star Wars where they just like cloud up the lens to make it look like it's floating.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then like the helicopter, Uncle Benet makes like flip upside down, and then the RV's like just flying. So finally they make it to the mountain, and the voice is like, wait there, like get out and wait. And so they say goodbye to sweet Uncle Lucas, and they're like, here's
Jason.
Sorry, you're right.
No,
Jason. He seems more like an uncle at this point, but he's like, can I pretend like you were my kids?
Oh
and
my like, God, I lost it.
Jason, come on.
I sobbed. I was like, what? Oh my God, he loves that.
And then they're like, here, you can keep the cat so that you have company. Winky. And they're like, yeah, they were like pretty close, even though like the cat's making some noises where I'm like, does she like that? Also, I thought he was a boy. I was like shocked that we find out it was a girl cat like after all this time. Not all that it matters, but whatever. So then we meet finally Uncle Benet, and he's like pretty average looking guy. Like I don't know what kind of aliens these are, but like really underwhelmed as far as like the alien content. So I was like, oh, I guess they're not like classical aliens, until their old school aluminum can flying saucer comes out of the trees and hovers terrible. I haven't seen graphics this bad since The Worst Witch. It was like, it really brought me back, where someone just like literally painted on.
Yeah.
It was like a Disney cell of like paint. Let's paint it on and like put it in there. It's like somehow they went from like Mary Poppins technology, which was like so much better than this, like that whole scene, right? Which is like animated and like real. So like maybe they were trying to do something like that, but less animated and more like maybe we can just use the effect of that, and but it didn't work, guys. It did not work. Really embarrassing. It's just
you should be embarrassed by your spaceship.
It's too much for me. It was really too much. So then they're off, and then as soon as like they're like pulling out, Mr. Bolt's like, gee, I knew they had to have been an alien or something with those psychic powers. Nuts. I guess I lost them. He just like leaves. Like,
well, that was the whole point, to show them like, oh, these kids are out of your reach forever. Because they're going back to their home planet.
But, like, it was just so interesting. Like, wouldn't he be like, oh, I'm gonna like do everything I can to find out them.
Photos.
You're the guy that's been harboring them. I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, he didn't like. It was so strange. So that's that. And then the ship comes back for a second, and poor Jason's like, oh, they're back. They decided to come back, but then it's just like, beep, bleep, and then it goes away back to the Witch Mountain or whatever, which is their colony that they settled on. That this is again, like, I don't get it.
So they are there.
Well, that's what I assume, because like they can't go back to their planet because it was dead. So either they're off to find a new planet, or they're colonizing on this witch mountain, which is like,
why can't they just
what
like
is it?
immigrate and like integrate into society?
Right.
Why
So,
do
like,
they
why
have to
can't
have
they-
their own
exactly.
thing?
Like, why are they up there? Like, what is this place? What does it look like? Like, how is it? How is this? It's its own colony that humans can't go to. I don't know. I have a lot of questions. Maybe we should watch Return to Witch Mountain.
Right.
To see if there's clues.
Right. I thought, I wasn't sure even if that even happened. I mean, I know Jason's like, oh, you're home finally, or something like that. Because they do like circle back around and go what looks like into the mountain, but like not really. Because again, the graphics are so bad. You're like, wait,
is it
what
the
are they
alien
doing?
power? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like really confused. But I know, yeah, there's definitely a sequel. So we know like they do come back. I read the plot. It was like not very descriptive of anything. So I couldn't really figure out like what was going on. But I hope they see Buddy Jason again.
I think they will.
They
Oh
were
yeah, so
really
you find
sweet.
out that they're not the only kids that they know are like stranded on Earth somewhere. Apparently, like everyone else is too, like also orphaned out there and like scared or whatever. So Jason's like, oh, like I could help find them and then bring them back here to you. So you're like, oh, cool. Like, is that the spinoff? Like the Jason Chronicles? Like that Jason
So
and
that's
Winky?
gonna be his life mission. He went from RV like. I'm
can
going
still-
on an RV with my big bags of flour and tuna fish, and
Why did he
now
have
I'm
all
gonna
that
be like
flour? So much.
baker, big
But he can
baker?
still do that. He can still like travel around the country, and he's just like looking for these alien kids. So
I hope he does. And that sweet Winnebago, I really want one.
yeah, I love the little like eating area. Really cute.
I know. It was just like a perfect. And man, that thing could really zoom. There was like 8 different scenes where he was like,
Yeah.
just like pulling out and like leaving those like the Cadillac like in its dust.
Yeah,
was great.
It was
It was
good.
great.
It was good. All right.
So that's the flick, as we say.
Yeah, it was interesting. It felt really
yeah.
long. It was only an hour and 37 minutes, but it felt pretty long because they really have to start escaping to Witch Mountain pretty early, and like it's pretty early on. You're like, oh, we're already escaping to Witch Mountain. Like this is gonna take forever. So I think I've said this before, but kind of my least favorite movies are these like action centric movies where like that you have this goal, like I don't know, like you have a goal of like reaching and you have to get through a bunch of obstacles to reach it. I don't know, for some reason those movies like stress me out.
Yeah, it's totally stressful. I mean, I think we've talked about this before. They're gonna make it, but it's like every little thing is like, it's just like making it harder and harder for them to do it, and you kind of just get sick of it. You're like, can they just like make it to the damn mountain?
Right.
Like we don't need to see this happen 20 times that they're almost not gonna make it. Like how many times were they somewhere and then like that Cadillac pulled in and they were like, oh no, like gotta do something crazy, gotta get a bear, gotta like get the gun to like act on its own. Like, it's just, it got like exhausting. You're like, okay, can this be over? But definitely like slightly underwhelmed, but that's always going to happen when you're watching something, I was 5 and now I'm almost 40. So 35 years later comes with a lot of knowledge and not that special, but I still kind of remember like why I liked it. It was something about like I said, just like cool powers, kids with cool powers. I just love that.
I would like to watch the more recent one of this, which was in the 90s, you said, and like the kid from Brink's in it. Like I remember watching that one for sure. So I'd like to go back and see if any memories are triggered from that. But yeah, it was interesting. Really, I had no idea that like this was what this was about. Again, I was like, I don't know.
I know these Disney movies.
I was like, are they escaping from witches? Like, Sweetie and I thought this movie was called Escape from Witch Mountain for the longest time, maybe until like last week. And so all this time I thought Witch Mountain was a bad place. Turns out it's the place you want to be. They're trying to go there. So,
And I don't think they should have named it Witch Mountain because it is just confusing.
Very misleading.
Name it something else spooky. Like it doesn't have to be
Right,
a
false-
witch is just something. I mean, I guess they thought those people were witches because of the powers that they had. So I guess like that makes sense. But what was I going to say? So wait, Witch Mountain movies. Okay, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, I hate when that happens.
Rats. Well, what else can we talk about?
Okay. I was gonna say, what do I remember from when I was little? Okay, so I think that when I watched this, not a ton came back to me. Obviously, all like the little levitation tricks, but probably the main one that came back to me was when they're in the sheriff's office and he puts the way to like get the sheriff distracted so they can run out, and he also has her little star case. Is he gets his harmonica back. Tony gets his harmonica back, and he's able to play his little jiggy tune. And he gets a coat to come to life with a hat on, and then a broomstick, and the coat that is now like come to life is beating the sheriff like with a broom, and it's like pretty funny.
It's very similar to Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like,
oh my god!
I mean, Disney definitely has this thing, right, where they have success with like one special effect, and then they try to duplicate it or replicate it in like the next movie. So like they did Mary Poppins, and they're like, let's do that animation thing again, but like longer and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And then they're like, and then we did this cool thing with like this like inanimate like things to make them look like people. Yeah, that was great. Oh, let's do that in Escape to Witch Mountain. Like, very interesting. Not a lot of original ideas.
Don't fix it.
In the beginning.
Well, they have so many ideas. They have to redo some because they can't have everything new. You know, if it works, they're going to use it again. So I don't blame them. There's a lot. They have a lot of original ideas. Don't discount that.
I guess I should suspect.
So I guess that the kid who played Tony. Well, first of all, the kids were really adorable. I really did enjoy them. They were cuties. The little boy Tony looked like Davy Jones to me.
Yeah, he looked so familiar. I didn't know. I looked him up and I was like, well, he has to been in something. But maybe.
And then,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. And then Kim Richards, was known for these movies, and then her younger sister, who actually plays her in the Lifeboat, is Kyle Richards, who was in Halloween and Watcher in the Woods. And then both of them have since been on The Real Housewives of LA or whatever. Beverly Hills. Yeah. So she's like the skinny, like blonde one. And then her sister is still like a brunette. I guess they're both still blonde and brunette. And she's the older sister. I always thought she was the youngest, but I guess she's the older one. But anyways, they're adorable in this, for real. Like, cutest little like buck teeth the little boy has. Like, she has like the classic little bangs. They have all these like cute 70s clothes, like bell bottoms and all like striped shirts. I don't know. I was just like really into their vibe. And anyway, so the little boy, like I said, that actor's name is Ike. Cute name. Actually learned to play the harmonica, got himself a harmonica and learned to play it for this. Then was saddened to learn that a professional harmonica player was going to be dubbed in for his harmonica playing.
Dang.
But at least it could look real. You know, at least it could look
I was
real.
fooled. I was fooled.
Me too.
I was like, I know he's not levitating things, but he could be playing that harmonica. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the same song every time, right? Like, I don't think
so.
he like changed shit up. Did you notice that the music? I don't know if you remember what the soundtrack was like in the Warriors when I made you watch the Warriors. But it sounded exactly like this soundtrack, where like when they would do like their power things, it would be like like really weird. And it was around the same time as the Warriors, this movie, I think. So like I could have been the same guy. Maybe I should look it up, or maybe that's just what movie soundtracks were like in the 70s. Who knows?
I think that's a very 70s thing. I'm just hearing it like that keyboard. It's like a keyboard note or something, or some kind of thing on the keyboard. I think that they do that. Or like those sound machines. Yeah, total 70s. I can kind of hear it from the Warriors. I'm remembering that. Okay, so there's a big section of this movie where they have this bear. Seems like a really sweet bear. I guess the actress, Kim Richards, was like really into it. Thought it was like the coolest thing until the bear like almost attacked her one day.
Oh, it is
Scary.
a bear. I thought they rode the bear for some reason. I was like waiting for them to get on that bear and ride up the mountain, but maybe that was just on the cover of the.
What was the bear doing outside of the police
station? It was a circus bear, I guess. Said the synopsis. I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
It was a strangely placed bear, but it did help them out of a couple sticky situations. Anyways, I guess that bear was awake only 2 hours a day. So
is that all bears?
I don't know. Was it hibernation time?
We thought the cat slept a long time.
I know,
bears,
Jesus. Well, they're like so big. I feel like they have to like sleep a lot because they use like so much energy because they're so big or something. I don't know. I don't know about bears, but I thought that was funny because they really had to like schedule shooting time around the bears like sleep schedule or awake schedule. 2 hours, like a newborn baby, basically. And then my last one is, and I feel like this is also a Disney movie thing. There's okay, so once the Hicks are involved and they're trying to like chase basically like, guys with pitchforks, but they're rifles trying to kill the kids. And then eventually then they're told like, don't kill the kids. We need them alive, but whatever. So they're in these cars and they're all like chasing. And I feel like this happens in Disney movies. Oh, maybe like Gnome Mobile. Yeah. Remember like all like this crazy stuff was happening with the cars? Yeah. Same thing in this one. And all I want to know is, are the guys in the cars okay? Because they get into like these really terrible accidents and they're all like, hey, they just like fall out of the car, or one Suburban goes like literally flying into this lake. Those guys would be dead. I'm sorry. Yeah. But then you just see them climbing out of the car and like just getting on the top and being like, wow, our car's in the water.
Walk it off, shake it off, let's go.
Dead. Like, I know you didn't have a seatbelt on, so I know you hit your head when it crashed and you would have drowned. True. So it's such a Disney thing. And then the other one, like these bags of flour get on the car, so then they can't see, and then they're like suddenly up a tree, like in a convertible.
You can't listen.
It's
Disney. It's a Disney movie. You can't have people die. People can't die in Disney.
No.
So
but then why is it such like violent wrecks? I don't know. It's just. It blows my mind.
It's like it's like slapsticky. They're like still going on that like humor from the like the 60s and the Gnome-mobile era of like car crash. Burp.
Yeah, Gnome-mobile was what, late 60s? This kind of had like that feeling a little bit. I feel like the setting was very similar.
Yes, they took it from that.
Yeah.
It was like Forest Moon Endor, like California wilderness.
I feel like they shot a ton of movies here. Remind me a lot of like The Birds, like that, whatever that long bridge is, like on the coast there. I feel like they used it in like Big Little Lies, you know.
Probably.
Beautiful area back there. But yeah, I think they did like so much of their movie filming out there. I mean, that's like where Disney was, you know. Orlando like wasn't the spot.
Anaheim. Mm-hmm. That's where it is now, but that's not where this was filmed, probably. I don't know. I don't really know much about California, but
You're gonna go and you'll be going there soon.
California, here we come.
California. I was just listening to the old Wizard episode. California. The little kid.
Cute movie.
So I'd say, you know, spooky initially, but not really like a spooky movie. I don't know if I consider like Aliens so much in spooky. You know, I'm more like a undead is spooky, but some people think aliens are spooky.
Sure. Well, if you don't know what they want, and then you find out, they're just weird.
I mean, people. What did these people want? Clearly, they hated.
They just wanted a new place to live because their planet was dying.
Are they living in the mountain?
I don't know. We have to watch the next one. We'll figure it out.
It's
our homework.
I want to see. I think they should have gone with Uncle Benet into the mountain, and he walked them around their little lair, because that was like a front. Whatever that building was with the telephone and the telephone book, like was like their front of like
alien. I don't know. Alien mirage powers protecting them, I guess.
Oh man, I have players right now. Sorry, fantasy football.
Wow,
forgot it's Thursday.
Cool. Anyways, so anything else?
Nope. That's it.
Cool. Well, we'll be back with another spooky movie, hopefully one more before we go this month. But thanks for hanging with us. Come find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you as always for listening. Bye.
Bye.